Showtime is switching it up a little bit here in Game 4 as we are opening things up with a Phoenix. Now, a Phoenix is sometimes just an entry into more Phoenixes in a second Star Guide. It could also be Phoenix into double Oracle and maybe try to find a proper or a decent amount of drone damage. I'm really curious to see where Showtime goes because you rarely see the Phoenix first these days.
That's a decent enough amount. The Oracle sees just a scouting ling right now. He's still planning on taking that third Nexus. The units won't quite have their backs up against the wall quite yet, and that's a little concerning. The Adepts, though, do not. A very quick transfer of the Shade to try and save at least some of their lives, but two of them gets blocked. One barely survives, but certainly not enough to keep that third Nexus.
You gotta love this though. Like, it's a minimal investment for Dark, but he is getting such a big ROI over here. If you're Showtime, you're like, oh, come on. Like, these are the little things. My Adepts are in the mineral patches. If I wipe in that Nexus 5 seconds earlier, you're too late. And Dark is just like, yeah, but you didn't, so I was right on time. Oracles do fly into the main base, and they do find a decent amount of drone damage. 6 drones going down, and the Phoenix should be able to survive all of this still. So that is a good way for Showtime to kind of make things even. I'm sure he's still a little upset about these links, but it's okay. We've got a game. And you gotta love economically where Dark is at in this game. Now, I gotta say Roach, yes, maybe Roach Ravager Hydra on this map is funny. It could also maybe be a Baning. Nope, it's Infestation Pit. And a Hydra then. Okay, we're getting a little bit of everything. We'll see where Dark actually goes with all of this. But Showtime is making it immortal already, and I'm very happy to see that, because I think that is truly the unit that he missed on Juggernaut. Yeah. This is looking so good for Showtime. Up 6 workers, and technically already having all the units in place to deal with Disruptors. Excuse me, Lurkers.
Lurkers, yeah. Yeah, it's looking really good. This, I think, is the type of game that Showtime actually likes. One where he does get to go into his Stargates without too much interruption. And then I think that's where Protoss is enjoying themselves right now, is on that super late game. Even if it is against Lurkers, with those both upgrades finished, can still be very troublesome. Once you've got your 4 bases up kind of without any previous engagements, you can afford all these High Templar and the carriers, the upgrades, as well as some stag defense. Now, Dark's doing the same thing. Like, they're both getting away with what they want. It's just one of those age-old questions as to what is better when you let that happen. I mean, he's still waiting on the extra range here. Well, actually hitting perfectly with it, perhaps. He's running in. He sees an open opportunity. Kind of gets past that one choke point. I was like, all right, now that I got a bit more of a concave, let's see what I can do. That's a lot of Lurkers. The carriers are out trying to focus fire them down. Here, a couple of Hydras to help out. +1 is not done yet for the Interceptors, and there's just simply not that many of them. But Dark not going to push it. Actually retreats as a large number of Zealots got into his 4th base.
Exactly. That War Prism this time really paying off, as Dark simply had all of his units on the other side of the map. And he's like, well, can I fight 6 Zealots with a couple of Queens? The answer is no. So he was forced to turn around. And I gotta say, that's nice for Showtime, right? Because the Lurkers were, I don't want to say in a super troublesome position, but they were kind of getting there. And if you only have 2 carriers and you're losing Interceptors on one of them, yeah, that's the moment you definitely want to see the Zerg player turn around so you can get some more time to get the extra carriers out on the battlefield.
I mean, Dark was really trying to push it with just the Lurkers is the idea. I'm just noticing now that his Hydras didn't have either upgrade. No range nor speed, but there just were so few Interceptors that they were just, as long as they were staying still and hitting them, I guess it was good enough.
7 drones went down to Storm Drop. Okay, that's kind of cool. And at the same time, Showtime still pushing into the Sport Crawlers and the Lurkers. A blinding cloud is landing. Wow,
Microbial Shroud, dude.
Yeah. Oh, Microbial Shroud, not the blinding. That wouldn't have made any sense. Well, let's see. It's paying off. That Spore Crawler survived. Zombie Grub looks like a pretty good spell to me.
Dude, I'm a fan. Like, he's entirely based on the ground right now against Interceptors. Exactly what Blizzard intended when they gave Zerg the spell in exchange for the Infested Terran, which I don't think anyone is going to say is actually a good trade. But still, it's what it's being used for. Great. A couple of units in the main base forcing the Hydras to respond to it, but the rest of the army still in the front line. Showtime is looking for an easier pathway into the economy, something where the Lurkers aren't already set up, the Spore Crawlers aren't already set up. Unfortunately, not finding much. Dark actually tries, I think he's just giving away roaches, but also maybe a distraction. Showtime this time around is engaging well and truly. More Microbial Shrouds are going down, and I just applaud it, man. Like, these Queens aren't dying, the Lurkers don't get focus fired as fast. Like, hell yeah.
I've said it all along. It's a terrifying spell to go up against, but normally it's obviously the spell is kind of countered by disruptors or storm because you want to put your units there. But it's still nice if you have the infestors. You may as well spend that energy, and it really does make carriers a lot less intimidating. And they just almost do no damage at that point. It's really cool to see. Dark is a believer.
I love it. He's got 8 infestors, and as I was saying before, like the fungals aren't necessarily going to be really like money fungals. Well, they might be actually once the Protoss army really comes up together. But you have so much energy. You can do a lot of things right now. Speaking of energy, storms being slapped down, abduct still going down, neural parasite still going down. Actually, energy going around every which way, and actually Showtime's going to just disengage entirely. Be like, that's not the fight I was looking for, but at least I am getting something on your 5th. Zealots actually grabbing a handful more, so 14 drones. Just one High Templar trying to be a hero. I'm not sure what that's about.
It's been attacking the spore crawler for a little while. Now drops the stairs like, get out of here.
Oh my god!
It lives.
The micro!
Oh, that's amazing. And now Hydra, storm the Hydra, live!
Storm it.
You can do it! Come on, Showtime! He doesn't see it. And the Hydra doesn't see the High Templar either.
Amazing. It's my favorite story out of this game.
Yeah.
No!
Storm! Storm!
No!
Oh.
All right, enough of those side stories. The main story is still about when Showtime feels like he can pull the trigger. Can he actually at all? And can he continue to keep Dark low on those base counts?
Well, maybe he just wants to get his final era armor upgrades, but I think armor is never as important as attack. Attack is truly what you want to hit certain timings with. I think Showtime is probably just looking at this. It's like, I know this is going fine. I'm outmining you. I'm the one who's done more damage in this game. Lands a good storm there. And a feedback as well, but the carriers are kind of left by themselves. Well, what looked like a promising start for Showtime actually turns into a 3-carrier donation. Very well done by Dark.
Look how much bank Showtime has, though. I mean, my goodness, that is twice the amount of the Zerg player. So again, it just seems like it's not really the usual story here for this matchup, and that should make us very concerned for Dark, even though Dark's been holding on and not like no one's really taking like super bad engagements. In fact, that last one, the 3 carriers being killed mostly for free, like maybe that was the worst one, and handful of minutes here. But otherwise, like, is he actually gonna be able to take a good engagement? I don't think so. Showtime, even if he does make a mistake, is a little overzealous. Has such a huge bank. How many Stargates are we on? 5 Stargates? Maybe he can even add more to that, making sure that he can remax. It just seems so much more like Showtime has time on his side and resources on his side, and
the one thing though is that he has been losing more resources throughout the game, which
yeah, but only 3,000 more.
Yeah, I know, but he's been mining more. But obviously, if he's never able to secure, let's say, the bottom left, then it doesn't really that much in the end. And you can say that maybe Dark is the one who spent more money on static defenses. If he had a recall in the bottom left to the mothership, and now the mothership recalls somewhere else, well, what the hell's happening? Why are the Tempest left behind in the center of the map? What are these moves? I mean, it's kind of cool, but what are these moves?
A misrally because his army was there is what I'm guessing about those Tempests. And then the mothership he just wanted to keep alive. He knew he was going to be yanked immediately, which, okay, fair enough. For now, all these High Templar are going to go down. It's a big loss of gas.
This was good. Yeah. Oh, good Nova on a couple of the drones, but I don't know if that's good. Like, yeah, you kill a couple spines and spores, but how important is this base really? There aren't that many resources left.
Oh my goodness. Okay, the observers fly through spores, but no, he parasited an oracle that was trying to kill all the infestors. That's Dark Stasis Trap in the middle left. You don't see that too often, but regardless.
Oh, and the zealots are gonna run into it. This is amazing.
My goodness. Oh, are they? Not quite. Not quite. All right. Well, I really want to see that stasis trap pop, but it might not. A couple of I think the miscellaneous units, the immortal that was kind of defending that base in the bottom left. Oh, it does work. Yeah. Gets pushed here. I think it is willing to give its life for the greater good to make even a bigger air army, and then the zealots, well, they're just trying to really find some effective engagements. They do kill 13 drones, cancel the hatchery, but then find a bunch of ultras. A very good thing for zealots. And that immortal does get taken out too. So with the side of the ultras, though, I do think that Showtime might want to reevaluate some of his tag defense and maybe even add more. If Dark is thinking about trying to break him on certain pathways, which usually that would be the job of the ultras, not necessarily all about the main engagements. And yeah, the tag defense might be might be a bit lackluster right now. That's exactly what Dark's doing with the first 4 ultras that we saw. Moving into cannons and shield batteries as they are fully upgraded. Well, they don't have speed. They do have speed. Yeah, they're fully upgraded. So that's what we've seen from some other Zergs like Rogue, investing a ton of resources into Ultra and Ling run-bys to try and catch Showtime out of position, to try and make sure that at least he has the economic advantage. And I guess Dark's going to try and do a little bit of that now. But now that Showtime's figured it out, maybe it won't find too much success. I don't know. It's actually going okay so far. As 10 probes go down, it is forcing the army out of position, which means that on the top side, Dark can actually start digging into Showtime stack defense with the lurkers, which he hasn't really been able to do so far.
I'm starting to get more and more worried for Showtime. Even though these are the kind of games that he really likes to play, I think that Dark is heading into a very decent army composition. He obviously completely caught up in the upgrades. I love the combination of lurkers, vipers, corruptors, and spore crawlers. I don't think it really gets much better than that. Now, of course, if Showtime gets a phenomenal fight, he's still going to be fine. But with the 12 Void Rays, I think it's also very possible to take a bad fight. It will really just all come down to the spellcasting, right? Fungal and Parasitic Bomb can annihilate Void Rays, and the Void Rays can also completely annihilate the rest over Corruptors. Even if all of them are at 10 HP, they can still just rip through all those Corruptors. So we'll see how this one plays out, but I feel that Dark is starting to find more and more ground and success in this game, and I really like the way he's been playing it.
I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm still a little hesitant as to how the actual engagement will go down, because it is going to be very explosive and is going to be a little bit positioning and then a little bit who has the faster trigger figure on the spells, but I wasn't so much a fan, and then Dark has actually spent the last about 10-15 minutes just holding and slowly breaking free, which is what he does actually in DDT quite well. I didn't think it would work out as well versus a Protoss, but even starting to find some success in the engagement to the bottom side. Actually, yeah, bigger engagement to the top side. Corruptors go in. Parasitic Bombs also going down, but Storms are trying to blanket those Corruptors. There's not enough of them to actually kill them, but here come the big bad Void Rays, and those Void Rays are going to force the Zerg army back. But that was messy.
That was really good for Dark, I think, though. I don't know what the battle report says, because we lost a couple of Ultras in the bottom side, but I actually think, like, when you take out 6 carriers and a mothership, for how many Corruptors? 4. Only 4. The only reason why it looks like Dark lost so many resources there is because the Ultras were fighting the cannons. Showtime really did not anticipate a fight. He was completely blindsided by the move of Dark. And yeah, Dark only needs to do that like 1 or 2 more times and the game is his. Because that wasn't even a fight, but he got a massive victory there.
Exactly. I think it's exactly what he's hoping for with the Ultras. Do they get popped? And can it sometimes be a big loss? Because Ultras are still expensive, even as you both are banking a ton. Okay. But they are worth it if they distract the Protoss so much that they don't get those preemptive feedbacks, if they don't see the Corruptors coming in. Absolutely, it can be worth it. And also, Dark was very, very close to actually cracking that base, too. He kept on finding it without the sack defense, but it's finally up and running. And Showtime has added on a couple more Immortals now that he realized, okay, there's a couple of Ultras. But Dark, he used that one time for Ultras, and then as they died, he just made everything into Corruptors. 15 more came out. It's very, very much so taking the air engagements. No more Microbial Shrouds, I'm afraid.
Showtime has now lost 10,000 resources more. Before it was 2 or 3, now he has lost 10,000 resources more in this game. Clearly looking, sending the Tempest in way too deep. That is a decent storm, but it's still once again. Oh, the Void Rays are so clumped up. Parasitic Bomb is what we need. Oh no, these Void Rays are in a world of pain as we speak. A lot of them will probably go down. Another Fungal could land. One more Parasitic Bomb. The Corruptors. Look at how Dark is handling all of this. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was I mean, that started off poorly for Showtime. He really isn't doing what you would hope for in a perfect Protoss engagement. You know, kind of getting ahead of the Zerg, getting your feedbacks down, getting your storms down, and forcing them to engage into you. It's always been Dark getting everything down first, and then Showtime kind of awkwardly just being like, I didn't need to, okay, I guess I gotta retreat. Very awkward stuff from Showtime, who is usually, I'd say, one of the more comfortable Protosses in this scenario. And Dark is really making this particular style work. I mean, he's back to the Mass Corruptor, but the recall even gets denied as the base falls. Showtime, I mean, he did an excellent job of keeping Dark, pinned back. But apparently Dark was totally fine with that. I mean, he never even really tried to retake that very bottom left. And he didn't even mind the middle left.
Yeah. I mean, the middle left is just there and is now being attacked by a single Dark Templar, but Dark has been so cost effective. He has really been believing in the units that he has, and he's been very patient, and every single time it feels that he's setting up the distraction with the Ultras, with the Zerglings or Lurkers, and then right when Showtime isn't truly on top of the movement, bam bam, and before you know it, all the spells go down, and these Corruptors have done phenomenal. We have lost more carriers in this game than we have lost Corruptors. How often do you see that?
Not very often. A good sign for the Protoss. In this case, it still isn't a good sign, but at least Showtime had a bit of a bank to work with. That is no longer really true. Another engagement coming in here. The Corruptor numbers are insane, but then again, so are the Archon and Storms. So Parasitic Bomb is going to do some massive damage. Splits a little bit late, so we hear a couple of units getting popped, but Showtime, he's really, I guess, built his ground army a bit more, realizing that was a weakness of the last engagement. We'll see how it goes this time around. He's once again pushing the same area, still does not have access to the bottom left. Might be feeling very desperate at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Showtime is going to take out this base, but Dark obviously has some money in the bank. Dark, of course, needs to be careful. Everything we say that applies to Showtime goes for Dark too, because he only has 4,000 gas in the bank. Can't believe I just said that, but in these scenarios, these armies are so expensive. Like, the current army value of Dark is 9,000 gas. So if he would lose a fight, he can't even rebuild the current army that he has. So he may seem incredibly rich, but he isn't that rich. It really just comes down to all the spell casting. I think I like a couple Brute Lords. I think it's pretty cool just to keep the Archons at bay, protect these Lurkers. Fungols do land. Once again, it feels that Showtime isn't really ready to fight, but we could get some big storms. Zombie Grub, who the hell's winning this?
I'm not really sure. There's a lot of spell casting going down here. Even a Time Warp, which you barely ever see actually affect the game. The Lurkers have mostly died, but the Spore Crawler is still helping out. The Corruptor count's still at 39. The Vipers seem to be out of juice. No, not quite. They abduct carriers more to the north, but don't even actually get the kill there. Showtime supply, however, probably is the easiest thing to look at and say that he did not win that fight. He is down 40 army supply just as he tries to remax, but his gas is already done, man. He never got those left bases. The very bottom left never got mined out. And we're at 33 minutes, and this map is not nearly as mined out as you would expect. But Showtime
but that's
needed those
because
minerals.
Dark has been okay with that, right? Dark is just like, I don't need all the bases at once. I just need to get a couple bases, get raid, get my dream army, and then take good fights. That is what Dark has been doing. And that wasn't just another good fight, it was a phenomenal fight for Dark. The combination of the Fungols, Neuroparasite, a couple of Abducts, Parasitic Bombs, and then the Corruptor movement is truly what has been outstanding, if you ask me. I mean, how many Corruptors even went down there? Like, he lost 7. Normally you're supposed to lose 30 there, right? He lost 7 Corruptors. He has killed 20 Void Rays in this game. Dark is playing a phenomenal match here on the Momenta side.
I mean, it really feels like he's already won it. He's up 70 supply because they both have so few workers, you know, like, and Showtime had so few such few gas. Like, it's not possible for him to rebuild a good enough army. Like, maybe he could have done one of those like tech swaps and try to desperately take advantage of the fact that Dark on 38 Corruptors, but even then, Dark actually also has 11 Ultras, so unless you could get to a really decent number of Archons and Zealots, that would not have worked. I feel like Showtime was expecting one of these fights to really go his way, but every single one did not. It was always him not wanting to take the fight, being surprised by the fight, and eventually losing the fight, the last one being the worst of them all. Now being surrounded partially by the Ultras means the High Templars don't really get to be involved in this fight. Parasitic Bomb on top of the motherships affecting everything. And that is, that's going to be it, I think. As the last unit falls for Showtime, his bases will also fall. And unfortunately, with this game falling out of Showtime's grasp, he's also out of TSL 6. GG.
GG. Showtime lost 20.